Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the Equityverse. Today, we're going to talk about Netflix and the fact that it is down very modest, 35% in one day. It's a good thing we have our crypto investments to help protect us, right? If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below, which is the Into the Equityverse Telegram channel. Let's go ahead and jump in. So, as you guys know, the markets have more or less been leaning risk off for quite some time. And we've talked about that before in reference to say things like the US dollar currency index, which as we've said is just, still in a fairly parabolic uptrend. And so we know how that affects crypto. Obviously, by association, it's going to affect stocks as well. But just yesterday, Netflix came out and announced that they had lost a lot of they lost a lot of subscribers. I think to the tune of a couple 100,000, and they're suspecting further losses, an order of magnitude more losses, as we go into the second quarter of the year. And you can see there's been a fairly sharp sell-off in the price of Netflix. Now, I was looking at sort of how far it has fallen from the peak. Okay, so the peak at just around, say, $700 or so to the bottom, you can see it's fallen approximately 69%. It's also 420. Anyways, Netflix is down approximately 69% from the all-time high. So it started making me wonder, how does that compare to prior moves? It is certainly easy to forget about prior moves and to kind of forget about the fact that they can happen. These major moves to the downside. You might think that Netflix has never seen this type of price movement before, but it has actually seen it on more than one occasion. And what I found was incredibly surprising is that despite the fact that Netflix is down about 69% from the all-time high, despite that, it still isn't even its worst correction in history. It's not. There's actually several corrections that Netflix has had that were even worse. This one about a decade ago, Netflix dropped 82%. Why don't we switch this out to the monthly time frame so we can see a few more corrections? So we had an 82% correction here. In addition to that, there was another correction back in 2004 where we saw Netflix plummet 77%. If you look at what happened at launch as measured to, say, the bottom of the wick, Netflix went down approximately 73%. So there are three worse corrections than the correction that Netflix is currently in. So it is interesting because we have a habit of thinking that equities might not necessarily be able to drop 80% like cryptocurrencies can, but here it is, right? I mean, again, here it is. You're looking at Netflix down 35% in one day. I mean, that's like altcoin territory. It's altcoin territory. You don't see that happen in equities in any given day. And one of the things I've actually spoken about before is that I always and you can go look at my channel in 2019. This prediction turned out very, very, very much wrong, right? And what I said was I expect as time goes on that crypto will behave like the stock market in terms of volatility. But I was actually wrong on that. It seems like the reverse is true. It seems like as time has gone on, the stock market has been behaving more like crypto with meme stocks and just how insane volatility has been, especially over the last couple of years, and even more so to the downside over the last several months, as we've seen a lot of equities give back a lot of the gains that they saw following the crash in March of 2020. And Netflix is currently at prices that it really hasn't seen since the very beginning of 2018. So, I mean, this is a very large pullback for a company like Netflix. And again, they have a lot of things they have to figure out. I think, they're competing with a lot of other subscription models that are also, streaming services. They also, I think, are competing with a lot of households who use their product and don't necessarily pay for it because of shared passwords. I don't really know how they're going to figure that stuff out. But when I look at charts like this, when it's down 70% in the short term, I don't really know where the bottom is. But I have to think at some point there's going to be at least some type of a bounce back up to the upside. Whether it's a dead cat bounce or not, I think ultimately remains to be seen. We would not be doing this video justice if we did not at least compare it back to cryptocurrency, because this is a cryptocurrency focused channel. And so one of the things I like to do, and it sort of always makes the case for why not measure the valuation of these various companies with respect to Bitcoin rather than with respect to the US dollar. Again, US dollar value, I mean, it's just getting inflated away. Your purchasing power is going down. So if perhaps you're stumbling upon this video and you're wondering what the hell I'm talking about, the point is you might as well measure your valuation of your assets in something besides the US dollar, because the US dollar just appreciates in value. So, the fact that an equity could be going up, it might only be going up because there's a lot more money in circulation. One way to consider that is to go look at, say, the SPY, the S&P, divided by, say, like the money supply. And what you'll notice is that when you account for the money supply, we were at much more elevated levels back in 2000 than we are today. So it tells a slightly different story when you start to think about things in a different way rather than measuring against the US dollar. And so if you take the valuation of Bitcoin and divide it by Netflix, one of the things you'll notice is that it's basically the same chart as the Bitcoin chart, more or less. And there are some differences, but what you'll notice is that Bitcoin has certainly been outperforming Netflix. Maybe a better way to view this is to take the Netflix valuation and divide it by the Bitcoin valuation. What do you see? It's just downtrend. We have ourselves a bleeder, my friends, right? We have ourselves a bleeder. And from inception, or at least from when we have data over here, I'm not going to cherry pick this wick, but I will just come up here. Why don't we just go over here, not even the top? Since the launch, Netflix is down. Look at that. TradingView literally rounds it to 100%. So according to this, TradingView rounds it to 100%. So Netflix is basically approximately 100% down against Bitcoin. Now, clearly it's not exactly 100% down because Netflix still has some value. But the point is that there's not enough decimals here to account for the negative 99.999% down that Netflix is against Bitcoin. I think that's actually somewhat interesting. And it does really go a long way, I think, in helping people understand why you should measure the value of an asset as measured against something that generally increases with time, like Bitcoin, rather than something that decreases with time, like the US dollar. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time. Bye.